You think you're surviving, but you're actually drifting. There's a difference. Survival requires intention. Drifting doesn't. Survival is a war, an effort to live. Drifting is what happens when you've given up without realizing it. You keep saying you're just figuring things out, that you'll get it together soon, that you're just waiting for that one clear sign, that break, that window. But how long have you been saying that? 3 months? 6? A year? See, you've fallen into the most dangerous illusion there is, that nothing happening means nothing is happening. But something is happening. Your standards are decaying. Your energy is draining. Your self-respect is eroding, silently. You don't hear it, but there's a quiet death taking place. Every time you open your phone instead of finishing that project. Every time you avoid the hard conversation. Every time you say tomorrow instead of today. And here's the worst part. Your mind lies to you. It packages up this decay and sells it to you as comfort. It says, rest is important. It says, don't be so hard on yourself. It says, let's just think for a bit. But that's not rest. That's avoidance wearing yoga pants. Rest is intentional, strategic. Rest happens when you've earned it, and when you know what you're resting from. This is limbo. You're not working. You're not recovering. You're just dissolving. Because when you're not working on what's right in front of you, you're not coasting. You're not planning. You're not even breathing. You're disappearing. And you already feel it. That low-grade ache in your stomach when another day slips by with nothing done. That dry, guilt-soaked thought loop before bed. Tomorrow, I'll start for real. That resentment toward people who are moving, not because they're lucky, but because you're not. This is how erosion feels. It doesn't scream. It whispers. You think you're just waiting, but Machiavelli would tell you you're dying. Because delay isn't neutral. It's not passive. It's not harmless. Delay is decay. When Niccolò Machiavelli studied the rise and fall of men, kingdoms, and power, he wasn't interested in morals. He was interested in movement, in action, in consequence. And he noticed something most people don't, that those who rose were those who moved, even recklessly, even imperfectly. Because fortune, he said, favors the bold, not the careful. Not the thinkers, not the ones who wait until they're finally ready, but the ones who strike. Most people, he observed, spend their lives in hesitation. They convince themselves that they're being smart by waiting, that if they just had a little more information, a little more time, a little more certainty, then they'd begin. But the truth? They're not waiting for clarity. They're waiting for permission. And that permission never comes. Because life doesn't send invitations, it sends consequences. And the longer you wait, the more silent damage you suffer. Every day of inaction subtly rewrites your identity. You stop seeing yourself as powerful, as capable, as dangerous. And you start to see yourself as someone who waits, who hesitates, who hopes. That change, it doesn't make noise. It happens quietly, until eventually, even when an opportunity does come, you no longer believe you're the kind of person who deserves it. This is what Machiavelli feared more than anything. Not failure, not risk, but rotting from within. Losing your momentum, losing your will, losing the small daily war between action and inertia. So when you tell yourself, I just need more time, remember this: time isn't neutral. It's not just sitting there waiting for you. It's working against you. It's carving grooves in your habits. It's deepening the trench of your inaction. And the longer you stay in that trench, the harder it is to climb out. Machiavelli's cold truth is simple. Movement isn't a luxury. It's survival. The only way to protect your future is to invade it, early, imperfectly, and without apology. Because if you don't, someone else will. It's June. Half the year is gone. You told yourself this year would be different, that you'd finally do the things you said you would, that the fog would lift, that the fire would come back. But here you are again, waking up late, drifting through days, living inside your head. And every day you don't act, the guilt grows, quietly, invisibly. It's not the kind of guilt that screams at you. It's the kind that sits in your stomach, making everything feel heavier than it should. The kind that makes rest feel like avoidance, that makes time off feel like punishment. And yet, you keep telling yourself, it's not that bad. But let's be honest, you already know what that voice is. It's not comfort. It's not logic. It's fear. Fear of failing, fear of starting, fear of being seen, fear of what happens if you give it everything and it still doesn't work. So instead of risking pain, you choose a slower kind of death, one that comes dressed as safety. But 6 months of safety has cost you more than 6 months of risk ever could. It's cost you momentum. It's cost you clarity. It's cost you belief. You no longer trust your own promises. You no longer take your own plans seriously. You talk about what you're going to do, but some part of you already knows you're not going to do it. Not because you can't, but because you've gotten used to the feeling of putting things off. It's become part of your identity. You're not lazy. You're not unmotivated. You're trapped in a rhythm of self-betrayal, a loop. And the longer that loop runs, the more your brain starts accepting it as truth, as normal, as just how I am. But that's not who you are. That's who you've been while waiting. And if you're tired of that version of yourself, if something in you still believes there's more, then you have to make a decision that breaks the loop. Not tomorrow, now. Because this isn't about motivation, it's about memory. 6 months from now, you're going to remember today. You're going to remember whether this was the day you moved or the day you once again did nothing. Tomorrow is the most seductive lie you've ever believed. It's clean, untouched, safe. Tomorrow hasn't disappointed anyone yet. It hasn't failed. It hasn't exposed your flaws or your limits. That's why it feels good. It's the perfect hiding place. You convince yourself that you're not giving up. You're just shifting it forward, that the pressure you feel now will be lighter tomorrow, that the confusion you feel today will magically dissolve by morning. But it doesn't. Tomorrow doesn't save you. It just gives your guilt better lighting. Because what you put off today doesn't disappear. It just mutates. It becomes heavier, more tangled, more intimidating. And the worst part is, you start to adjust to it. You start to make peace with the pile, the unfinished work, the wasted potential, the shrinking ambition. It becomes part of the furniture. You step over it, you walk around it, you live with it. And then you wake up one day and realize your life has become a monument to what you meant to do. Machiavelli warned us, Power doesn't wait. Advantage doesn't linger. The conditions are never perfect. The risk is never gone. The time is never right. All you get is now, but now is sharp. Now forces you to decide, to move, to confront yourself. That's why the mind prefers later. Because later is soft. Later doesn't ask questions. Later doesn't make you prove anything. But the truth is this. Every time you push something to tomorrow, you are training yourself to be weak. You are rehearsing failure. You are building a version of yourself that negotiates with your own decay. And over time, that version becomes real. You become someone who waits, who plans, who dreams, but never moves. The man who waits for the right moment eventually becomes the man who can't recognize one. So stop hoping for a cleaner entry point. Stop looking for certainty. Stop believing that delay is harmless. It isn't. It's corrosive. And if you keep feeding it, it will eat your entire life. Let's not pretend anymore. You're not confused. You're not lost. You know exactly what you need to do. You've always known. The problem isn't knowledge, it's action. The problem is that you've built a life around avoiding the one thing that would actually change everything. Movement. Not perfect movement, not guaranteed success, just forward motion. That's what separates people who change from people who decay. The ones who change stop waiting for confidence. They stop waiting for permission. They stop waiting for the fear to go away. They act, while scared, while uncertain, while unsure, because they understand the truth. Action is the cure. Clarity doesn't come first. Power doesn't come first. Movement does. You're not out of time because you failed. You're out of time because you never started. And if you want to reclaim your life, not the dream version, but the one that still can be built, you need to get violent with your passivity, ruthless with your hesitation. You need to stop trying to feel ready and start acting like someone who's done waiting. You've spent enough time being soft with yourself, enough time romanticizing discipline, enough time treating your own potential like it's optional. It's not. This is it. There is no breakthrough coming, no perfect mood, no mentor, no miracle. There's just you and the truth and a decision. You either act or you rot. That's it. That's the fork. The men who build something in this world don't build it because they're better. They build it because they stopped asking for permission. They didn't wait to be understood. They didn't wait to be comfortable. They made a move, and then another, and then another. So if there's still even a flicker of belief in you, a part of you that knows you're not done, then now is the only time you'll ever have. Not tomorrow, not next month, not when life feels calmer. Now. Choose movement, choose discomfort, choose life. Because the longer you wait, the less of it you'll have to say